This is such a huge week, obviously the return of Masterchef, but Poe, you're usually the only royalty in any kitchen that you step into.
Oh, please.
But you had to share the crown with none other than Meghan Markle. What was she like?
There's so much public conjecture about this. She was so delightful, like nothing but praise for the time that we spent for her. Very easygoing, good sense of humour, like consummate professional. I mean, she's an actor, right? So she just slid right into that judging role like seamlessly.
Did she seem to like food? Yeah, did she seem like food?
She loves food. Yeah.
There is a lot, said about her. She gets a lot of trolling. Was she genuinely lovely, or can you see how people may not like her?
No. Genuinely, I think it's very interesting because when you drill down, no one can actually really say why. It's one of those situations. And at the end of the day, I really feel for her because she's still a human.
Hello everyone, welcome back once again. So the noise around Meghan has really been quiet, but every so often a real world moment cuts clean through the chatter, and her recent presence connected to the Masterchef Australian circle appear to have done exactly that. Away from the headline built on speculation and recycled narrative, what actually unfolded behind the scenes tell a very different story. So according to those who were there, the judges, the crew, the people who had no reason to perform for cameras or tabloids, Meghan came across not as distant public figure but as someone refreshingly genie, warm and effortless, down to earth. So in an environment like Masterchef Australia, where long film hours, high pressure moments and tight-knit teamwork define the daily rhythm, authenticity tends to reveal itself quickly. So production like this don't run on pretense, they run on trust, collaboration and ability to connect. And by all accounts, Meghan fit into the ecosystem with surprisingly ease. So there was no sense of hierarchy in her interaction, no barrier between her and the people working tirelessly behind the scene. Instead, what stood out was her willingness to engage, to listen and to simply be present. So that kind of presence is often underestimated in a world where celebrity can sometimes create distance. Meghan's approach seemed to do the opposite. Crew member reportedly found her approachable, someone who treated everyone with the same level of respect regardless of their role. So it is the kind of behavior that doesn't always make headline, but it leaves a long impression where it matters most and among the people who experience it firsthand. So for the judges who are themselves seasoned professionals used to working with a wide range of personality, the reactions appear to have been just as positive. There's a difference between polite acknowledgement and genie appreciation, and the latter is what seems to have redefined their response. Meghan's ability to blend into atmosphere without trying to dominate its box volume. She wasn't there to overshadow the show or shift its focus, but rather to contribute to its energy in a way that felt natural and unforced. So what makes this particularly interesting is how sharply it contrasts with the narrative that often surrounds her. The gap between perception and reality has long been a defining feature of Meghan's public life. Yet moments like this, where people who interact with her directly, share the experience, offer more grounded perspective. They trip away the layer of commentary and reveal something far simpler, a person who, in the right setting, connects easily with others. So it's also worth noting how environments like Masterchef Australia tend to amplify sincerity, food, creativity, and shared effort create a space where people let their guard down. So it's not a red carpet, it's not a formal engagement, it's a working set driven by passion and collaboration. Because for Meghan to be so well received in the space suggests that her humor aligned naturally with this culture. She didn't have to adjust or perform. She simply showed up herself, and that seems to resonate. Of course, for those invested in more critical narrative, that this kind of reception may be difficult to reconcile. It's challenge long-held assumption and disrupt a storytelling that has been repeated often enough to feel fixed. But reality has a way of complicating those narratives. When multiple individuals from different roles within a production independently describe someone as kind, grounded, and easy to work with, it becomes harder to dismiss those accounts as coincidence or spin. So there's also something to be said about consistency of these kinds of reports across different settings. Whether it's charitable work, creative collaboration, or informal interaction, a pattern begins to emerge, one that points to a personality that value connection over image, It's not about grand gesture or carefully curated moment, but about the smaller, quiet interaction what happen when cameras aren't the focus. And what stood out most about Meghan reception in this context is not just that it was positive, but that felt unforced. There was no campaign attached to it, no orchard messaging, just people sharing their honest impression, and in an age where authenticity is often questioned, those impressions carry weight. So while the noise continues elsewhere, moments like this offer a reminder that lived experience often tells a memorable story than distant comment. So Meghan's ability to step into high energy, close-knit environment like Masterchef Australia and leave behind such positive impressions speak to something real, something that doesn't need establishment to be understood. And for those willing to look beyond headline, it paints a picture that is far more human than polarizing. And perhaps that's what resonates most. Not the idea of Meghan as symbol or subject of debate, but Meghan as a person, engaged, grounded, and as many on that set seems to agree, genuinely delightful to be around. So beyond the immediate warmth of those interactions, there's a broader implication that's difficult to ignore. Production like MasterChef Australia had built on reputation just as much as talent, so world travel quickly in those circles and impression linger long after film wraps. When someone's leave behind a trail of goodwill among people who are accustomed to high standard and constant pressure, it speaks to kind of character that isn't easily manufactured. Meghan's ability to move through the space without friction, to earn that kind of quiet respect suggests that what people experience wasn't one of moment, but part of consistent way of showing up. It also highlights an often overlooked truth about public figure. The most revealing insight rarely come from headline, but from the people who interact with them when there's nothing to gain from exaggeration. So crew member, production staff, and collaboration are not invested in maintaining public narrative. They respond to what they see and feel in real time. In this case, what they seem to have encountered was someone who didn't lean into status, who didn't create distance, and who understood the value of simply being kind and present. And perhaps that kind of grounded energy tends to ripple outward, shaping the tone of the entire environment in subtle but meaningful way. And perhaps that is why moments like this resonate more than usual noise. They offer glimpses of something unfiltered, something that doesn't rely on interpretation or spine. So Meghan reception within the MasterChef Australia circle serves as a reminder that authenticity when skinny has a way of cutting through even the loudest skepticism. For all the commentary that exists from afar, it is this first-hand experience, quiet, unscripted, and constant, that ultimately carries the most credibility, leaving behind an impression that is far harder to dismiss than any headline. Thank you guys. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment.